Allow me to pose a question. Have you ever experienced the frustration of doing everything correctly with your finances? You meticulously plan your budget, set aside savings, and even tune into podcasts discussing terms like diversification and retirement strategies. Yet you still feel as though a single unexpected event could unravel it all. If this strikes a chord, it's because there's an overlooked aspect of financial literacy that rarely gets discussed. We're conditioned to handle limited resources rather than cultivate prosperity. That's the shadowy side, and it's not your fault. Consider Henry. During his college years, Henry devoured every personal finance book available. He monitored his spending with precision, relied on budgeting tools, and confidently recited Susie Orman's advice at social gatherings. He steered clear of credit card debt as if it were a contagious disease and diligently contributed every extra dollar to his 401k. By age 35, Henry considered himself a financially mature adult. However, life soon delivered a devastating triple blow: a health crisis, a sudden job loss, and a collapsing housing market. Overnight, the wisdom he'd followed lost its luster. His savings lasted barely 3 months. His 401k was locked with penalties, and budgeting offered little solace when his income disappeared. This is when Henry uncovered a lesson no one had ever shared with him. Financial literacy equips you to endure volatility, not to thrive amidst it. It prepares you for survival, not abundance. The conventional approach emphasizes clipping coupons and skipping small luxuries like lattes. Yet, the wealthy aren't preoccupied with a $6 coffee. They focus on mastering asset velocity, evaluating opportunity costs, and managing capital flow. Henry wasn't unintelligent. He was simply trained within a system that exalts discipline while cautioning against risk, a setup that benefits the status quo. If this narrative feels like a reflection of your own journey, don't despair. It simply means you're beginning to awaken. In this video, we'll explore the authentic financial principles the wealthy employ, rules rarely taught in classrooms. Starting with this revelation, the greatest misconception about financial education is that it concludes with basic literacy. Literacy is merely the starting point. The real challenge lies beneath, where true wealth building begins. Let's proceed to the next topic, which might catch you off guard. Let's be honest. Much of traditional financial education wasn't crafted to liberate you. It was designed to keep you compliant. The budgeting templates, compound interest graphs, and frugal lifestyle influencers all form a structure intended to ensure financial responsibility, not financial dominance. Here's the surprising twist. The more you master this framework, the more your options seem to shrink. Before we dive deeper, let me clarify. This video isn't about dismissing budgeting, saving, or discipline. Those are valuable. Instead, we're stepping into an advanced realm, a hidden level few acknowledge. Let's examine how this trap operates. You're guided towards secure routes. Secure a steady job, save 10%, and perhaps retire around 65. But what happens if you lose that job? What if inflation diminishes your savings? What if the market crashes when you need funds most? Suddenly, all that discipline feels less like empowerment and more like confinement. This is the moment many realize they've become financially knowledgeable but strategically short-sighted. Compare this to the wealthy, who use literacy as a base but quickly advance to ownership, opportunity scouting, and calculated risks. They don't wait for permission from financial security. They create it through momentum, connections, and strategic borrowing. They don't play it safe. They play intelligently with safeguards the system prefers to keep under wraps. This is why the video's title, The Dark Side of Financial Literacy and Why the Rich Learn Something Else, isn't just attention-grabbing. It's essential. It exposes the limitations of the tools you've been given and unlocks access to those you haven't. The next pitfall might be the most insidious of all: oversaving. We've all heard the mantra, save, save, save. It's the cornerstone of financial literacy, and while saving is crucial, here's the issue. It's been turned into a comfort zone. People treat saving like a safety net, but a net won't carry you across the sea. Clinging to it too long prevents you from building a vessel. Take Maya, a schoolteacher who followed every guideline. She lived modestly, used coupons, brought homemade lunches, and saved diligently. By 45, she had accumulated $100,000 in her bank account. Yet that money sat idle, slowly losing value to inflation with less than 1% interest. while her risk-taking younger brother, who launched a specialized logistics firm, began earning 5 times her salary. Maya had what we call stagnant capital. It appeared secure on the surface, but was quietly diminishing. The wealthy don't just save. They strategically allocate savings while deploying the rest into income-generating assets, leveraged investments, or high-stakes opportunities with significant potential. Saving isn't wrong. It's necessary, but it should be a stepping stone, not the end goal. If saving is your sole focus, you're playing defense your entire life, and defense alone doesn't win championships. Growth does. The dark side of financial literacy glorifies caution without fostering courage. One of the most perilous traps in conventional advice is the notion that hard work alone builds wealth. But here's an uncomfortable truth rarely voiced. The system rewards leverage, not labor. You might work 40, 60, or even more hours weekly, exhausting yourself with discipline, yet your wealth barely grows. It merely sustains you. Meanwhile, someone else works fewer hours but earns 10 times more by leveraging assets, automation, or networks to amplify their efforts. Consider Chris, a freelance graphic designer who embraced the grind. He managed 4 clients, rose at 5 a.m., worked late into the night, and had little time for himself. But he was stuck. Without work, there was no income. He was a tireless worker on a shiny treadmill. Rather than taking on more clients, he developed an online design course, sold reusable templates, and hired assistants. His earnings didn't just increase, they became limitless. Financial literacy teaches you to work harder with money. Wealth literacy teaches you to detach income from time. You're not flawed. The system simply withheld the full playbook. A curious pattern emerges once people become responsible with money. They start delegating it to financial advisors, banks, or HR staff managing their 401k. While outsourcing can seem wise, especially amid complex financial terms, there's a catch. If you don't grasp how your money operates, others are making choices about your future based on their own motives. We call this professional dependency, and it's a subtle destroyer of personal wealth. You're encouraged to trust experts, ignore fees, and stick to target date funds. But financial literacy was meant to make you independent, not reliant. Take Angela, a high-earning healthcare professional making over $200,000 annually with a private wealth advisor handling everything. For 10 years, she asked no questions. Then a friend taught her to analyze fund fees and performance, revealing she'd paid tens of thousands in hidden costs for returns that barely matched inflation. Worse, she didn't even know her investments. That's the risk. The wealthy don't fully outsource. They hire experts but stay engaged, learning the terminology and asking tough questions, knowing that relinquishing control might steer them off course. If you want to escape the dark side of financial literacy, you can't just study money. You must strategize. Let's move to another overlooked trap, the allure of incremental wins. These feel like victories, saving $50 weekly, clearing a credit card, or earning a modest raise. But if they become your limit, if you treat them as the ultimate goal, you confuse maintenance with progress. The system rewards small steps, applauding you for saving a few dollars or paying off a $5,000 balance. That's progress, yes, but true wealth comes from bold moves that redefine your financial landscape. This is why the title matters. The system wants you to feel accomplished as long as it keeps you within its boundaries. The rich measure differently. They track leverage points, asking, where can my money grow exponentially? What choices will transform my life in 5 years? Not just what earns a pat on the back today. Take Eric. He took pride in saving $20,000 over 4 years, a solid achievement. But when a chance arose to invest in a promising small business, he balked. Too risky, too sudden. He played it safe and watched a friend turn a similar stake into $150,000 in 2 years. Eric didn't lose money, but he lost time. And in wealth building, time is the costliest asset. Small wins keep you secure. Big decisions change your trajectory. You don't need to risk everything, but you must recognize when to shift from safety to strategy. The next trap hits harder than expected, the pride of going it alone. There's a peculiar badge of honor in financial circles, especially among high achievers. The belief that independence is nobler or wiser. Self-reliance is commendable, but isolation is a weakness, particularly with money. Financial literacy often champions individual effort. Cut your own expenses, craft your own plan, hustle solo. Wealth literacy reveals a deeper truth. Leverage stems from people too. Take Marcus, a brilliant self-taught investor who tracked every expense and built a $70,000 stock portfolio by 33. But he shunned networking, viewing partnerships as complicated and seeking help as a sign of weakness, so he stagnated. Meanwhile, a less financially savvy classmate joined a business mastermind, collaborated with mentors, and grew an online venture that surpassed Marcus in income and equity within 2 years. That's not luck, that's the principle. The wealthy forge alliances, share insights, seek advice when needed, and amplify knowledge through trusted networks, a lesson most personal finance books overlook. Money is a collaborative game at the top. If you've been gripping the reins of financial freedom alone, ask yourself, is that determination or pride? Because ego can be costly, and most don't realize how much faster they could progress until they stop going solo. The final trap is the most personal. It's not about figures but identity, and it might be the greatest barrier to wealth. Let's conclude with something no spreadsheet can capture, the identity trap. Here's the aspect no one prepares you for. You can master all the tools, manage expenses, invest wisely, clear debt, and still feel stalled. Why? Because deep within, you're operating from an outdated self-image. This is the ultimate trap in financial literacy. It teaches you to handle money, but not to evolve into the person who masters it. Every financial choice is shaped by the narrative you hold about yourself. If you grew up believing money is scarce, you'll feel uneasy earning more. If you think wealth is for others, you'll unconsciously hinder your own success. If you still identify as the struggling student, the paycheck-to-paycheck parent, or the underdog, no amount of budgeting will break through because that story prevails. But here's the empowering flip side, and it's why this channel exists. That story isn't fixed. You can rewrite it. Every new strategy, mindset shift, or bold financial step isn't just about your money. It's about redefining who you believe you are. That's why we titled this The Dark Side of Financial Literacy and Why the Rich Learn Something Else. Until you transcend the story you inherited, you'll remain caught in a cycle of playing small, not due to laziness, but because you still see yourself as not that person. The truth is, you are. You can be. You will be the moment you choose to author a new chapter. If you found value here, I strongly suggest watching my next video. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Drop a comment below, especially if this shifted your perspective. I truly appreciate your support. Until next time, stay sharp, stay independent, and keep moving forward. See you soon, Money Maestro.